The narrative around AI agents right now feels, well, it feels pretty exclusive. If you're not writing Python scripts, or messing with APIs, it's easy to feel like you're just watching this whole revolution from behind a window. We hear all this talk about agents replacing entire workflows, but the subtext is always that you need some complex, custom-built system. For a marketer or a consultant, that's been a huge barrier. But what our sources are showing as of January 2026 is that 4 ready-made no-code tools are basically eliminating that barrier. For good.
And that's really the heart of this deep dive. You do not have to be a coder to get powerful, custom AI agents working for you today. We're moving past all the hype. We're focusing completely on the strategy you can use right now. The real question for you isn't how to build an agent, but how to manage one. So our mission today is to help you master what we're calling the delegation loop. First, we'll define what a real agent actually is, using something called the little guy theory. Then we'll get into the 4 control knobs you need to tame this power. And finally, we'll introduce you to the 4 no-code agents that are already handling, I'd say, 90% of non-technical tasks. It's all about changing your thinking from just prompting to delegating.
Okay, let's start right there. Let's define what we're talking about. What is an AI agent, really? Because it feels like the whole industry has fallen into this marketing trap of just slapping the label agent on, any old chatbot.
Yeah, that's the biggest hurdle. A chatbot is just reactive. It gives you some text and then it's done. It can't actually do anything. A real AI agent is different. It's a system that can perceive data, reason with a model, and then act using tools to get a job done.
So the key difference is autonomy. It can actually execute on a plan.
Exactly. If you ask a language model to summarize an article for you, that's just text. But if you tell an agent, like Manus, to go research 5 of your competitors, pull their pricing from live websites, and then build you a spreadsheet, that's an agent. It figures out the steps, it does them, and it reports back.
So this idea that agents require coding it's mostly a myth at this point.
For most people, yeah.
If the tools are already built, where's the real skill gap for us in 2026?
It's all directorial judgment. That's the skill. Knowing what to delegate and, more importantly, how to set the right boundaries for the work. And this is where the little guy theory comes in. It's a mental shift. You have to start treating these agents like smart, eager, but totally inexperienced college interns. They're incredibly fast, right? They can read 1,000 pages in a minute. They're tireless. They work 24/7.
But, and this is the key part, they're naive.
Yes.
Like an intern, if you give them vague instructions, they will confidently go off and do the completely wrong thing.
And they'll do it with such conviction.
Yeah.
That's why you can't just trust them blindly. They're amazing for gathering and formatting information, but you need a human in the loop for anything high stakes.
So if we're treating them like smart interns, what's the line we should never cross when we're delegating?
Stick to information gathering and formatting. Avoid high-stakes execution without human oversight. Okay, so this next part is where it gets really interesting. This is where we separate the people who get real value from AI from those who are just, playing around with it.
Yeah.
Most AI projects fail because people give the agent way too much freedom. They treat it like it can read their mind.
And that's where you get the unpredictable results, the hallucinations, all of that.
To tame your agents without writing any code, you just have to master these 4 control dials that we found in the source material.
All right, let's break them down. Number 1 is habitat, or the environment. This is basically the sandbox the agent gets to play in, the specific websites, files, apps it can access.
Right, and why does this matter so much? Because if the habitat is too broad, if you just say, go search the internet, the agent gets slow, it gets distracted, and it's much more likely to hallucinate or make things up.
Wait, hang on. Why would a broader habitat lead to more hallucinations? Wouldn't more data make it smarter?
You'd think so, but it's counterintuitive. Too many conflicting sources creates an impossible reasoning problem. It can't tell what's true, so it just starts guessing. But if you constrain the habitat, tell it to only search, say, Gartner and Forrester, it stays focused, fast, and factual.
Got it. So control is actually efficiency. Okay, number 2 is tools, or the hands. These are the specific actions the agent can actually perform.
Sending emails, creating files, browsing. And this dial is really the risk dial. More tools means more risk. So you have to restrict access to the absolute minimum it needs to do the job. The pro tip we saw is to start every new workflow with read-only access. Only give it write access, the power to send emails or delete files after you've seen it work reliably over and over.
That makes sense.
Number 3 is freedom, or the constraints. This is all about the rules you bake into the prompt itself. This is how you prevent it from making assumptions. The best practice is to use what are called the 5 constraints in every prompt. Explicitly state the required format, source, tone, length, and the decision logic it should use.
Okay, and what's an example of decision logic?
A really critical one is adding a rule that says, if you find conflicting information, stop and ask me. That one constraint pulls you back into the loop before it makes an autonomous mistake. It's a huge safety net.
So you're not just defining the task, you're also building guardrails around how it finds information and what the final product has to look like.
Precisely. And that brings us to the last one, number 4, proof. This is the verification step. It's the trust but verify policy for your AI. You have to demand proof of work from your digital intern.
What does that mean in practice?
It means requiring URLs for every fact it gives you, demanding confidence scores for the data, forcing it to show its reasoning.
So instead of just saying, find me some sales leads.
Right, that's unverifiable. You ask for a verifiable output. You demand the LinkedIn URL for the person, the source of their email address, and you make the agent give you a confidence rating high, medium, or low on how certain it is about that data.
So why is demanding all this proof so vital if we're using these trusted pre-built agent tools?
Because agents confidently produce incorrect results. Verification ensures reliability and prevents costly mistakes.
Okay, so now that we have the framework, habitat, tools, freedom, and proof, let's start building our team of digital interns. We're going to focus on the 4 big agents that, right now, handle about 90% of what a non-technical professional needs.
First up is Manus, the researcher. This is your go-to for autonomous real-time web research. What's special about Manus is that it's not just pulling from old training data like ChatGPT or Gemini. Manus is actively browsing multiple live websites at the same time, in parallel, to get the absolute latest information.
So it's for external intelligence.
Exactly. It's perfect for competitive analysis, market research, that kind of thing. You can assign it to research the top 5 product management tools, find their pricing, features, recent complaints, and it'll come back and say 3 to 5 minutes. Doing that by hand is, what, an hour of clicking around? And Manus gives you all the source links so you can check its work.
Okay, that's powerful. Next up is Notion AI, your workspace brain. So if Manus looks outward, Notion AI looks inward.
Yes, it operates inside the data you already have. It gets the context of your notes, your projects, your company history. It basically understands your filing system, so you don't have to re-explain everything in every single prompt.
So it's best for organizing your own thinking.
Right, turning messy notes into project plans, writing status updates, searching your own knowledge base. You know, I still wrestle with prompt drift myself when I'm using external tools.
Can you define prompt drift for anyone who hasn't run into that frustration yet?
Oh, it's that thing where you use the exact same prompt on Tuesday that you used on Monday, and you get 2 completely different answers because the AI lost the context. Having an agent like Notion AI that just knows the context of my internal files is, well, it's such a relief.
And a real-world example.
Meeting notes. We all spend, 15, 20 minutes after a call cleaning up notes, pulling out action items, creating tasks. With Notion AI, you just paste the messy transcript and tell it to extract the action items and add them to your tasks database automatically. It goes from 20 minutes down to 30 seconds.
That's a huge win.
Yeah, right.
Agent number 3 is Lovable, the no-code app builder.
Yes, this is for when you need a simple, custom tool, but you're not a developer. You don't drag and drop anything. You just describe what you need in plain English. You can literally just say, I need a simple contact tracker with a field for name, company, and last contact date. And it generates the UI, the database, everything.
So it's for building those little custom dashboards or personal CRMs.
It's a perfect middle ground between a messy spreadsheet and hiring a full-on developer. You can build a simple, mobile-friendly web app in about 5 to 10 minutes. It's pretty amazing.
And finally, agent number 4, Zapier, the workflow orchestration manager.
This is the agent that connects everything together. Its whole job is to make app A talk to app B. When this happens over here, do that over there.
And the AI part is that you can now define that logic in plain English.
Exactly. You can set it up to, say, check your Google Calendar and Notion tasks every morning at 8 a.m., and then send a formatted summary of your day to you in a Slack message.
Whoa. And then imagine scaling that. You could have hundreds of those little workflows running. The time savings just compound.
They absolutely do. But, and this is a big warning for Zapier, you have to watch your task usage.
What's a task in this context? How does that work?
A task is just one successful action. So if your workflow, your Zap, checks your calendar and then sends a Slack message, that's 2 tasks. If you have a Zap that runs every 5 minutes, 247, those tasks can add up really, really fast and affect your bill, so you just have to be mindful of the volume.
So out of these four Manus, Notion AI, Lovable, and Zapier, which one gives you the fastest path to really big measurable time savings?
Notion AI, especially if the bulk of your information already lives inside your existing workspace, the difference between getting kind of okay results from AI and building these really reliable systems comes down to something called the Delegation Loop. Most people get a result that's good enough, and then they spend time manually fixing the output. That totally defeats the purpose.
The goal is to get from, this helps a little bit too, there's no way I would ever do this manually again.
That's the shift. And the loop to get there is 4 steps. Assign, verify, iterate, systematize.
Okay, so step one, assign, is just writing that really clear brief, using the control knobs we talked about. A strong brief versus a weak one like research competitors.
Step 2, verify. You have to check the work like it's a first draft from a junior employee. You're looking for red flags, unsigned facts, missing pieces, things like that. And then step 3, iterate. This is the step almost everyone gets wrong. They edit the result instead of fixing the instructions.
Right, because it feels faster in the moment to just fix a typo than to go back and rewrite the prompt.
It does. But if you fix the prompt, you save that time forever. If the output is too long, you add a max 200 words constraint. You're not fixing the intern's homework, you're training the director.
And the last step is systematize.
Yeah, you save that proven prompt, you make notes about what it's good for, what its limits are. You're essentially building a playbook for your AI team.
It's turning a one-off win into a repeatable process.
It's exactly that. You save it as competitive pricing research, and you note the time savings. That 45-minute task is now a 5-minute task, forever.
For the listener focused on saving time, what is the most tangible benefit of systematizing a good prompt?
It turns a one-off success into a reliable, reusable system that saves time forever.
This has been incredibly practical. We started with this core idea that the real skill in 2026 isn't programming, it's directorial judgment, it's delegation. We defined what a true agent is, and then we walked through the 4 control knobs: habitat, tools, freedom, and proof to keep that power in check. And then we met the team: Manus for research, Notion AI for your internal brain, Lovable for custom apps, and Zapier to connect everything. The real path to winning is just learning how to command that team.
The choice you have today is pretty simple, You can wait for some perfect magical AI that's going to do everything for you, and maybe that'll come someday. Or you can spend a few hours right now building these simple, reliable workflows with the tools that already exist and start saving yourself real time every single week. So which future are you building?
Take some time to look at your own sources on this. Think about it through that lens of delegation. What part of your own workflow could you hand off to an agent today?
Thanks for diving deep with us.
Until next time.